I'm about to dismiss an utterly irrational individual who chose to assist a woman deemed insignificant by society. My tardiness for a crucial business meeting stemmed from aiding a woman in a wheelchair at the airport. Consequently, I was terminated from the company today, but I have no regrets. Ignoring her would have burdened me with a gnawing sense of guilt every single day. If you are not subscribed, I recommend you subscribe and activate the bell to avoid missing any videos. As I gathered my belongings to exit the company, my manager, Bill, sprinted towards me in a state of panic. "Mr. Hayes, you must watch the news right now." President Hayes's face turned ashen, clueless about the unfolding situation. My gaze shifted to the TV screen, where the very woman in the wheelchair whom I had helped was being featured. In an instant, everything became clear. Yes, in reality, she was. "My name is Tyler. I'm 28 years old and just an ordinary office worker at a care products company. I've been employed here since I graduated. Recently, as the company's sales performance surged, my income saw a modest increase. Naturally, I was pleased with the company's growth. However, I harbored a sense of unease regarding our business practices. Under Bill's directive, we had begun prioritizing aggressive sales tactics over genuinely benefiting our customers. This approach gnawed at my conscience, especially today, as I stood on the brink of unemployment for doing what I believed was morally right. Helping that woman, despite the professional consequences, reaffirmed my values. Now, as I watched her on TV, I felt a surge of vindication and emotional upheaval, knowing my actions were not in vain. Her presence on the screen suggested a twist of fate, a revelation that her significance extended far beyond what anyone had imagined. While our commitment to creating dependable products and adopting this new sales strategy did boost our transactions, I couldn't shake the unease about selling items to people who didn't genuinely need them. I once challenged Bill about our aggressive sales methods, but he dismissed my concerns without a second thought. "Bill, shouldn't we consider modifying our sales tactics? We're increasing transactions, but is it worth the risk to our long-term reputation with customers?" Why worry about our reputation? Customers are buying, so the products must be necessary for them. If you're so concerned, what do you propose? Perhaps a strategy that meets our customers' needs. That sounds like an excuse from someone who's failing at their job. Your performance has been terrible lately. Before this shift in sales policy, I consistently ranked among the top performers in the company. However, since the change, I struggled to adapt, and my sales numbers plummeted, leaving me at the bottom of the performance rankings. Bill and Mr. Hayes hadn't criticized me before, but once my performance declined, their attitude shifted to open disdain. Complaining when you're not meeting targets is unacceptable. Are you wasting time with useless chatter again? Just then, Mr. Hayes entered the office. Bill immediately stood up, exuding respect. "Mr. Hayes, it's good to see you." As I watched this interaction, I felt a mixture of frustration and disillusionment. Despite the ethical concerns gnawing at me, Bill and Mr. Hayes remained indifferent, prioritizing profits over principles. Their lack of concern for customer well-being and their harsh treatment of employees who questioned unethical practices only deepened my sense of discontent. This moment was a stark reminder of the company's priorities. I realized that my values did not align with this environment, and despite the professional risks, I couldn't continue supporting such practices. The encounter left me more determined than ever to seek out a workplace that valued integrity and customer trust over short-term gains. "Good to see you, Tyler. Are you pestering Bill with your baseless complaints again? Listen to this. He's claiming our sales strategy is flawed." Flawed? Bill's approach has driven the company's growth and is undeniably successful, isn't it, Mr. Hayes responded, his tone laced with disbelief and irritation. No, I simply suggested we adopt a sales style that genuinely addresses customers' needs instead of potentially pushing unnecessary products on them, I explained, feeling a surge of frustration at having to defend my stance yet again. If we focus too much on the customer's needs, our performance will inevitably decline. You don't need to worry about that. But if you have time to make such comments, why don't you go out and make some sales? This is why people label you a failure, mister. Hayes retorted, his words cutting deep. I'm sorry, Bill. I know it's challenging, but please make sure to take good care of your subordinates, mister. Hayes added, his voice softening slightly as he addressed Bill. Yes, my apologies, Bill replied, though his eyes held a glint of annoyance. After delivering this reprimand, mister, Hayes left the office, leaving behind an atmosphere thick with tension. Bill immediately turned his frustration on me, blaming me for the scolding he received. You see what you've done? Because of your pointless objections, I got reprimanded. You need to start focusing on your job and stop wasting time, he snarled. From that day forward, Bill began piling menial tasks onto my workload. Every trivial assignment he could think of landed on my desk. These tasks were mundane and time-consuming, far removed from my actual job responsibilities. My days became filled with endless data entry, filing, and other monotonous chores that left me drained and demoralized. Since that day, Bill has consistently assigned me trivial tasks, leading to long hours of overtime as I struggled to complete everything within regular working hours. This ongoing burden wore me down, making each day feel like a relentless grind. The menial tasks not only consumed my time but also stifled my potential to contribute meaningfully to the company. Despite my efforts to maintain my integrity and work ethic, the environment became increasingly toxic, filled with resentment and unfair treatment. Every day, I faced a barrage of demeaning comments and a mounting workload, eroding my morale. The unfair distribution of tasks highlighted the company's disregard for fairness and respect. It became clear that my values were at odds with the company's priorities, and this realization fueled my determination to find a place where my principles would be valued and respected. The long hours and the overwhelming sense of being undervalued began to take a toll on my health. I found myself increasingly fatigued, both physically and mentally. The constant stress and lack of appreciation made me question my worth and my future at the company. My relationships outside of work also suffered as I had less time and energy to invest in them. Friends and family noticed the change in me, often expressing concern over my well-being. One evening, after another grueling day of work, I sat in my small apartment, surrounded by the silence that only emphasized my isolation. I thought back to the moment at the airport when I had helped the woman in the wheelchair. Despite the professional consequences, that act of kindness brought me a sense of fulfillment that my job never could. I realized that I needed to reclaim that sense of purpose and integrity in my professional life. Determined to make a change, I started researching companies that aligned with my values. I updated my resume and began reaching out to my network, seeking opportunities where I could work for an organization that prioritized ethical practices and treated its employees with respect. The process was daunting, but I felt a renewed sense of hope and determination. Weeks passed, and I finally secured an interview with a company renowned for its commitment to customer satisfaction and ethical business practices. During the interview, I spoke passionately about my experiences and the lessons I had learned. The interviewer, a kind and attentive woman named Sarah, listened intently and seemed genuinely interested in my story. A few days later, I received a job offer from the company. The relief and excitement I felt were overwhelming. Accepting the offer marked the beginning of a new chapter in my life, one where I could work with integrity and be part of a team that valued the same principles I did. Leaving my old job was bittersweet. I said goodbye to a few colleagues who had supported me, but I walked out of that office for the last time with a sense of liberation and anticipation for the future. The challenges I faced strengthened my resolve and clarified my values. I was ready to embark on a new journey, one where I could make a meaningful impact and find fulfillment in my work once again. Rumors of my confrontation with Bill quickly spread throughout the company, causing a ripple of fear among the employees. Many became hesitant to voice their opinions to Bill or Mr. Hayes, fearing retribution. Despite the tension, I stood by my principles, convinced that my ideas were valid. Determined not to compromise my values, I continued to work diligently, pouring my energy into my tasks. One night I took the last train home, feeling utterly exhausted. The one constant source of comfort and warmth in my life was my grandmother. My parents had been stationed overseas for work since I was young, so I lived with my grandmother, who had difficulty walking. I helped her with her daily needs and assisted with her medical appointments. Balancing work and caregiving was challenging, but as a devoted grandma's boy, I never viewed it as a burden. "Welcome home, Tyler. You must be tired from today," my grandmother greeted me with her usual warmth. "Hi, Grandma. Work has been busy lately." "I'm okay," I replied, trying to sound upbeat despite my weariness. "You've been coming home quite late recently, and you look unusually tired. Are you sure you're not worrying about something?" she asked, her keen eyes assessing me with concern. Her kindness and perceptiveness were unmatched. She could always sense when something was off. Though I had tried to act cheerful around her, she saw right through my facade. I decided to confide in her about my work troubles and the conflicts with my supervisor. "So that's what's been happening. It sounds tough. Do you think you have no choice but to follow your supervisor's approach to secure a contract?" she asked thoughtfully. "I've been conducting my sales by listening to the customers and recommending only what they need. It seems to make them more satisfied. I even tried the sales style Bill suggested once, but it didn't suit me," I explained, feeling a mix of frustration and resolve. "Then I think you should do what you want to do," she said firmly, her voice filled with conviction. "But that won't improve my performance, and I might end up getting fired. I don't think it's right to lie in sales." "Grandma, do you think what I'm doing is right?" I asked, seeking her wisdom and reassurance. She looked at me with her gentle, wise eyes and smiled. "Tyler, integrity is more important than any job. If you believe in doing the right thing for your customers, then you should stick to that. Your honesty and dedication will eventually be recognized, even if it takes time. Remember, true success comes from knowing you did the right thing." Her words resonated deeply with me, giving me a renewed sense of purpose. Despite the challenges at work, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders, knowing that I had her support and understanding. The next day, I returned to work with a clearer mind and a stronger resolve to stay true to my principles. The rumors and tension at the office didn't deter me. I continued to focus on my customers, ensuring they received the best products for their needs. My approach garnered positive feedback from many clients, who appreciated my honesty and genuine concern for their satisfaction. Though my performance metrics didn't skyrocket overnight, I began to see small, steady improvements. One afternoon, as I was wrapping up a call with a satisfied customer, I noticed Bill watching me from across the room. His expression was unreadable, but I could sense a shift in his demeanor. Perhaps he was starting to see the value in my approach. As the weeks went by, I remained consistent in my methods. I faced resistance and occasional criticism, but I also witnessed a growing number of satisfied clients who valued the integrity and care I brought to my work. My grandmother's wisdom continued to guide me, reminding me that staying true to my principles was the right path. In time, the company began to take notice of the positive feedback and loyal customer base I was building. Mr. Hayes and Bill, albeit reluctantly, acknowledged that there might be merit in my approach. Though it was a slow and often arduous journey, I held on to the belief that doing the right thing would ultimately prevail. My grandmother's unwavering support, and my commitment to integrity carried me through the toughest days. I learned that success wasn't solely defined by numbers or accolades, but by the impact I made on those I served. And in the end, knowing I had stayed true to myself and my values was the greatest achievement of all. I don't know much about sales, so I can't say who's right, you or Bill. But I think it's right for you to stick to your principles, my grandmother said, her voice filled with wisdom and unwavering support. Hearing her words made me feel validated, and I found myself tearing up. She always told me to be someone who can act for the sake of others. Those words have stayed with me, influencing my attitude towards work. She has always lived by those words herself, having a kind nature that doesn't allow her to ignore someone in trouble. Thanks to her personality, she's well-liked by our neighbors and is a well-known figure in our community. I deeply respect my grandmother for all that she is. Even in my current company, there were times I almost compromised my beliefs, but I kept acting on my values, believing in her words. But it makes me happy, she continued, her eyes twinkling with warmth. What makes you happy? I asked, curious about what she was thinking. That you've been holding on to what I said all those years, even now as an adult, she replied, her smile gentle and proud. Well, when you were told so many times to act for the sake of others, you start to think you should. But acting for the sake of others can be quite difficult. Actually, I admitted, feeling the weight of my experiences. Is that so? Think about the people around you. You've always been there for me, and your kindness has made a difference to many, she said, her voice soft yet firm. Reflecting on her words, I realized how much my grandmother's teachings had shaped my actions. I remembered the countless times she had gone out of her way to help others, never expecting anything in return. Her selflessness inspired me to approach my work and life with the same spirit. In the weeks that followed, I noticed a shift in how I approached my job. I became more determined to uphold my principles, despite the challenges and criticisms. Each interaction with a customer became an opportunity to demonstrate integrity and genuine care. My focus shifted from merely meeting sales targets to building trust and long-term relationships with clients. One day, as I was assisting a customer, an elderly man who had difficulty understanding the product details, I patiently explained everything to him, ensuring he felt comfortable and informed about his purchase. As he left, he thanked me profusely, saying, "Young man, you have a kind heart. It's rare to find someone who truly cares about the customers these days." His words resonated with me, reinforcing the path I had chosen. It was moments like these that reminded me why I had to stay true to my values. Despite the ongoing struggles at work, I found solace in knowing that my efforts were making a positive impact on others. The tension with Bill and Mr. Hayes remained, but I learned to navigate it with a sense of resilience. I continued to document the positive feedback from customers, hoping it would eventually make a difference. I also sought opportunities to improve my skills and knowledge, attending workshops and networking with like-minded professionals who shared my commitment to ethical practices. One evening, after another long day at work, I returned home to find my grandmother waiting for me with a cup of tea. She had a way of making even the most exhausting days feel a little brighter. We sat together, and I shared with her the story of the elderly customer and how his gratitude had uplifted me. You see, Tyler, when you act with kindness and integrity, it not only helps others but also enriches your own life, she said, her voice filled with wisdom. Never underestimate the power of a kind word or a genuine act of care. Her words stayed with me, providing a beacon of hope and encouragement. The challenges at work were far from over, but I felt a renewed sense of purpose. I realized that my grandmother's teachings were not just about doing the right thing, but also about finding fulfillment and meaning in the process. As time went on, my consistent dedication to ethical sales began to draw attention. Some colleagues started to notice the positive feedback I was receiving and began to question Bill's aggressive sales tactics. The shift was gradual, but it was happening. I could see the seeds of change being planted, and it gave me hope for a better future. In the end, my journey wasn't just about standing up to unfair practices, but about staying true to myself and the values instilled in me by my grandmother. Her guidance had been a constant source of strength, helping me navigate the toughest of times. As I looked ahead, I knew that whatever challenges lay in my path, I would face them with integrity and the unwavering belief that doing the right thing always mattered. I was told that the first thing that came to my mind was the behavior of my company's superiors. Indeed, their actions seemed to prioritize profits over genuine concern for others. Maybe that's true, my grandmother reflected. It becomes even more difficult as you grow older. In that sense, Tyler, you're doing great. I'm proud of my grandson. That's an exaggeration, I replied, feeling a mix of embarrassment and gratitude. No need to be so modest, she said with a reassuring smile. Look, you have work early tomorrow, right? You should go to bed now. Yeah, I understand. Good night, I said, feeling a sense of comfort and support. After finishing my bedtime routine, I lay down to sleep. Normally, my mind would be a whirlwind of anxieties and stress, making it difficult to find rest. But tonight was different. My conversation with my grandmother had lightened my emotional burden, and I fell asleep more quickly than I had in a long time. For the first time in ages, I felt a renewed motivation to face the challenges at work with a fresh resolve. The next morning, I continued to work while steadfastly adhering to my principles. Despite my efforts, my performance did not improve, and I remained a frequent target of criticism from Bill and Mr. Hayes. Overtime became a routine part of my life, and I found myself returning home late almost every night. You're always slow at work, and your performance is at the bottom. You're a burden, Bill would chastise me, his tone harsh and unforgiving. I'm sorry, I would respond, trying to maintain my composure despite the mounting pressure. I wish I could bring in a big deal for once. A big deal, Bill sneered. Well, it's probably impossible for you, but anyway, I need this task done by today. But there's only 30 minutes left until the end of the workday, I protested, feeling overwhelmed, and I still have other tasks pending. Despite my pleas, the expectations remained unreasonable, and the workload was relentless. The pressure continued to mount, making each day feel like an uphill battle. My commitment to ethical sales was unwavering, but it came at a personal cost. The late nights and relentless demands took their toll on my well-being. Yet, I found solace in the thought that I was staying true to my values, even if it meant enduring harsh criticism and facing daily challenges. My grandmother's words continued to echo in my mind, reminding me of the importance of acting with integrity. As time passed, I remained steadfast in my approach, and slowly, I began to see subtle changes. A few colleagues started to show support, and some customers began to appreciate the honesty and care I brought to my work. Though the road was still difficult, the small victories helped me maintain hope. Despite the ongoing struggles, I knew that my commitment to ethical practices and my dedication to my principles would eventually lead to positive change, both in my career and in the broader work environment. And each day, as I faced the challenges ahead, I carried with me the unwavering support of my grandmother and the knowledge that staying true to oneself was the most important victory of all. You can't even manage that? Other employees handle more work within the time frame, Bill barked at me, his frustration palpable. Understood. I'll take it on, I responded, my voice steady despite the sting of his words. Days like these became all too familiar. There were times when I missed the last train home and had no choice but to spend the night at the office, grappling with an ever-growing pile of work. Yet, no matter the exhaustion, I held fast to my principles, guided by the wisdom imparted by my grandmother. One day, as I visited a regular client, something unexpected unfolded. "I'm grateful for everything you've done for us," Tyler the client said, his voice filled with genuine appreciation. No, I replied, trying to deflect the praise. "I should be the one thanking you. I truly appreciate the opportunity. The fact that we can have such pleasant transactions is due to your sincere listening and thorough product explanations," he continued. "That's very kind of you to say," I responded, feeling a warm glow. "I'm just doing what I believe is right." "I was wondering if I could entrust something to you, Tyler." "Huh? What's that?" I asked, intrigued. "A certain company is looking for a new trading partner." I thought, how about Tyler's company? "Really? Which company is that?" "It's Johnson Corporation." "Johnson Corporation? That's a major player, isn't it? Are you sure I'm the right person for this?" "Yes, I believe so. They value not just the quality of the products, but also the integrity and character of their partners. I trust you to represent us well." "Our company takes great pride in our product quality," I said, feeling a surge of pride myself. "I'm honored by your trust. So will you put in a good word for us?" "Count on it." The prospect of working with Johnson Corporation was exhilarating. It represented a significant opportunity and a potential turning point for both my career and the company. I was excited about the chance to showcase our values and prove that sticking to one's principles could lead to success. As I prepared to pitch our company to Johnson Corporation, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. The challenges and criticisms from Bill and Mr. Hayes seemed a bit more manageable in light of this promising opportunity. My commitment to ethical sales had led me to this moment, and I was determined to make the most of it. The upcoming presentation to Johnson Corporation was a chance to demonstrate that integrity and dedication could indeed forge meaningful business relationships. I felt a deep sense of responsibility and motivation, driven by the belief that doing the right thing would ultimately lead to success and recognition. In the following weeks, I worked tirelessly to prepare for the presentation, ensuring every detail was perfect. My hard work and commitment paid off when Johnson Corporation expressed interest in partnering with us. It was a significant achievement, not just for me, but for the entire company. My grandmother's words of encouragement continued to guide me through the ups and downs of my professional journey. Her unwavering belief in my values had been a constant source of strength, and as I reflected on her wisdom, I knew that my commitment to integrity and hard work had led me to this success. As the partnership with Johnson Corporation was finalized, I felt a profound sense of accomplishment. It was a testament to the power of staying true to one's principles, even in the face of adversity. As I looked ahead, I carried with me the knowledge that no matter the challenges, staying true to oneself was the most rewarding path of all. Securing a deal with Johnson Corporation felt like a dream come true. Just a few days after initiating contact through a client, I was amazed to receive a call from Johnson Corporation itself. The deal, worth an astonishing $100 million, was to be handled under my supervision. When Bill found out about the monumental success, his reaction was one of sheer astonishment. "You secured a deal with Johnson Corporation? That's truly remarkable," Bill exclaimed, his eyes wide with disbelief. "I never imagined you could pull off something with such a major company." "Well," I replied modestly, "it's thanks to the regular clients who spoke highly of me." "That's incredible," Bill continued, his tone reflecting genuine admiration. "It seems your approach, which I once doubted, has finally yielded impressive results. I owe you an apology for my earlier harshness. I honestly didn't think you had it in you. From now on, you're free to continue working in your way. I see the value in your methods now." Although Bill's praise made me feel somewhat self-conscious, It was also gratifying to finally receive recognition for my efforts. The deal with Johnson Corporation marked a turning point in my career. My performance began to improve steadily, and even Mr. Hayes, who had previously dismissed me as ineffective, started to acknowledge my contributions. This experience reinforced my belief in the importance of adhering to one's principles and trusting in one's abilities. The challenges and criticism I faced had only strengthened my resolve to stay true to my values. As time went on, my personal life flourished as well. I married Haley, and together we were blessed with 2 healthy children. Balancing my responsibilities as a prospective future president of the company with my role as a devoted father and husband has been incredibly fulfilling. Every day, I work hard to ensure a bright future for my family, and I cherish the happiness that surrounds us. However, not everyone shared in my joy. At a recent reunion, Mary, who has always harbored a grudge against me for my academic struggles during our school days, seemed intent on undermining my happiness. Her persistence in holding on to past grievances, even into our 40s, was both irritating and strangely impressive. It appeared that Mary, who had always considered me inferior because of my academic performance, was now curious to see where I worked. Determined to confront her lingering animosity and demonstrate how far I've come, I decided to show her around. After the reunion, I took Mary to the CEO's office at her husband's company, intending to give her a glimpse of my professional world. As we walked through the impressive halls and entered the CEO's office, I hoped this visit would serve as a powerful statement about my achievements and growth. My goal was not just to show Mary the success I had achieved, but to underscore the value of perseverance and self-belief, no matter the past criticisms or obstacles. With each step through the office, I felt a sense of pride and satisfaction. The journey from being undervalued and criticized to leading major deals and building a successful career had been arduous, but it was a testament to the strength of staying true to one's principles and striving for excellence. As I guided Mary through this significant part of my life, I hoped she would come to see the depth of my journey and the importance of rising above past judgments. When I found out that I had some free time, I decided to RSVP for the high school reunion that was coming up. It was a chance to reconnect with classmates from our senior year, many of whom I hadn't seen in years. As I sifted through the yearbook to refresh my memory about who might be attending, I felt a mix of nostalgia and unease. One name stood out sharply: Mary. Mary had been a prominent figure in our class, a natural leader who orchestrated events and was part of the so-called popular group. I had always felt a twinge of aversion towards her, rooted in a painful memory from our senior year. I vividly recall one particular day when my friend was absent, leaving me alone at lunch. Surrounded by a cluster of girls at nearby desks, I was eating my lunch in relative solitude, trying to ignore the discomfort of being isolated from my usual group. The chirping of birds outside the classroom window caught my attention, and I instinctively glanced up to admire the view. Unfortunately, in that fleeting moment, my gaze accidentally met Mary's. Without any ill intent, I was merely observing the outside world, but Mary misinterpreted my glance. "Hey, what are you looking at? Were you just staring at my chest?" she demanded, her voice sharp and accusatory. I was taken aback and tried to explain, "No, that's not what happened. I was just looking outside." But Mary was adamant, her tone filled with disdain as she continued to accuse me of inappropriate behavior. Her voice was loud enough to attract the attention of our classmates, turning what had been a mere misunderstanding into a spectacle of cold stares and whispered judgments. The embarrassment I felt was profound, and it seemed that no matter how hard I tried to explain, the damage had been done. Now, years later, as I prepared to attend the reunion, I wondered how things might have changed. I had worked tirelessly to build a successful career and had grown into a leader myself, running a major company with 7,500 employees. I had achieved a level of success that seemed almost unimaginable back in those high school days. When the reunion arrived, I was eager to see the familiar faces of my old classmates, but I was also apprehensive about running into Mary. I was curious to see how she had turned out and how she might react to me now. What I didn't expect was that her reaction would reveal the depths of her past actions. During the reunion, Mary seemed to be her usual self, laughing and mingling with other attendees. When she saw me, she seemed almost dismissive, as though she couldn't fathom my significance. Her casual remarks and laughter felt like a slap in the face, as she seemed to take pleasure in the idea that I had never managed to achieve much. However, the true twist came when her husband emerged from his office, where I was preparing to show Mary around. As he explained the situation, revealing that I was indeed the CEO of a major company, Mary's demeanor changed dramatically. Her face went pale, and a look of regret and shock crossed her features. Seeing her reaction, I felt a mixture of vindication and sadness. It was clear that my success had forced her to confront her past actions and perhaps reevaluate her judgments. Despite the lingering bitterness from those high school days, I hoped this moment would serve as a reminder of the importance of not underestimating others based on past grievances or misconceptions. As I stood there, reflecting on how far I had come from that embarrassed and misunderstood teenager, I realized that my journey had been shaped by perseverance and integrity. My success was not just a personal triumph, but a testament to the power of staying true to oneself, even in the face of past adversities. Mary's sudden approach immediately put me on edge, but I maintained my composure. Her voice was laced with the same condescending tone I remembered from high school, and I could feel the old tensions bubbling up. I tried to keep our conversation brief, but Mary seemed intent on making this encounter uncomfortable. "Did you pay the fee yourself?" she asked, her eyes narrowing with skepticism. "Yes, I did," I replied, trying to sound calm. "I didn't have anyone else handle it for me." Mary's smile was sly, and she seemed almost amused by the opportunity to provoke me. "Well, I guess we'll see how long you stick around. Last time you seemed eager to run away." I forced a polite smile, though I could feel my irritation rising. "I'm here to enjoy the reunion and catch up with old friends." Mary seemed to find this response lacking, but before she could press further, another classmate approached. I took this chance to slip away, blending into a group of familiar faces from the past. The initial tension seemed to ease as I conversed with old friends, and the atmosphere of the reunion became more relaxed. As the evening progressed, I found myself navigating between groups of classmates, trying to avoid Mary's attention. Despite my efforts, I noticed that she was frequently glancing my way, occasionally whispering to her friends and casting furtive glances in my direction. Her behavior was increasingly erratic, and I could sense that she was still harboring some sort of grudge. Throughout the night, I overheard snippets of conversation among other attendees, and it became clear that Mary was spreading old stories about our high school days. She was painting me in a negative light, trying to fuel the old narrative of me being a troublemaker or someone to be avoided. The more she spoke, the more it seemed like she intended to stir up old conflicts and create drama. Despite this, I remained focused on catching up with those who were genuinely interested in reconnecting. I shared laughs and stories with classmates who had moved on from high school, and the reunion, despite its rocky start, was becoming a pleasant experience. The turning point came when I was approached by a group of classmates who had noticed Mary's behavior. They expressed their surprise and disappointment at her attempts to rekindle old grudges. One of them, a friend who had been close to me back in school, spoke up. "Robert, we all remember how Mary used to act. She hasn't changed much. We're glad you've come out tonight despite all that." Their support was a welcome relief. I felt a sense of validation and support that helped counterbalance the negativity Mary was trying to spread. The evening progressed with a mix of nostalgia and warmth, and as the night came to a close, I felt a renewed sense of confidence. Before leaving, I saw Mary one last time. She was standing near the exit, clearly unhappy. Our eyes met for a brief moment, and I offered her a polite nod. There was no need for further confrontation. The reunion had already proven my growth and success. As I left the venue, I felt a mix of relief and satisfaction. The reunion had been an opportunity to reflect on how far I had come and to reconnect with people who appreciated me for who I am now. The past grievances with Mary were just that, past. I was moving forward with a sense of accomplishment and pride in the life I had built. The night reminded me of the importance of standing by my principles and the value of letting go of past grievances. As I headed home, I looked forward to the future, content with the progress I had made and the person I had become. Mary's dismissive tone was as sharp as ever, and her condescension was palpable as she looked around the bustling area. Her reaction was exactly what I had expected, but it didn't make it any less frustrating. I took a deep breath and tried to remain composed. "No, Mary, I work in this building." "Let's go inside," I said, steering her toward the entrance. As we walked through the lobby, the opulent surroundings seemed to catch Mary off guard. Her expression shifted from one of casual disdain to surprise as she took in the luxurious decor and the bustling activity of the corporate environment. "Wow, this place is different from what I expected," she said, her voice now tinged with hesitation. "Yes, this is where I work," I confirmed, leading her to the elevator. The ride up to the top floors was quiet, and I could see Mary fidgeting with her handbag, clearly uncomfortable with the sudden shift in her perception. When we reached my office, I opened the door and let her in. Mary's eyes widened as she took in the panoramic view of the city, the sleek modern design of the office, and the high-tech equipment. It was clear that she had underestimated me, and the realization was beginning to sink in. "This is your office?" she asked, her voice now soft and uncertain. "Yes," I replied, smiling slightly at her reaction. "I'm the CEO of this company." Mary stood there, stunned into silence. The arrogance that had characterized her earlier demeanor was replaced with a look of embarrassment. She stammered as she tried to regain her composure. I didn't realize. I thought that I was a cleaner or a security guard," I finished for her, unable to keep the hint of satisfaction out of my voice. "It's understandable, I suppose. You never really took the time to get to know me back in school." Mary's face flushed with color as she looked around the office, seemingly grasping the full extent of her previous misconceptions. "I'm sorry, Robert. I didn't mean to be so rude," she finally said, her voice barely above a whisper. I nodded, acknowledging her apology but remaining calm and collected. "It's all right, Mary. I understand that people change and perspectives can be different. I'm just glad I could show you a different side of things." We left the office, and the ride back to the hotel was subdued. The dynamic between us had shifted, and Mary was noticeably quieter than before. As we arrived back at the hotel, Mary thanked me for the visit, and I could sense a genuine tone in her voice that hadn't been there before. "I guess I owe you an apology for the way I acted," she said, her demeanor now more respectful. "It was wrong of me to judge without knowing." I appreciated her acknowledgement, though I knew that our interaction was unlikely to change the past. "No problem, Mary. We all make mistakes. What's important is how we move forward from them." As Mary left, I felt a sense of closure. The reunion had not only been a chance to reconnect with old classmates, but also an opportunity to confront and overcome lingering issues from the past. I was able to move past the old grievances and show that I had built a successful life despite the challenges I faced. Walking back to my car, I reflected on how far I had come and how important it was to stay true to oneself, regardless of the judgments or misconceptions of others. The experience reaffirmed my belief in the value of resilience and integrity, and I was ready to face whatever came next with renewed confidence. Mary's disbelief was evident as she pulled out her phone and dialed her husband. The silence in the lobby grew heavy with anticipation. After a few moments, Mary ended the call and looked at me, her face pale. "He confirmed it," she said, her voice trembling. "The company name matches, and he mentioned your name. It's true. You are the CEO." I nodded, trying to maintain my composure. "Yes, I am. I started this company from the ground up, and it's grown significantly over the years. I understand it might be hard to believe, but it's the reality." Mary seemed at a loss for words. The earlier arrogance had evaporated, leaving behind an awkward and apologetic demeanor. She shifted her weight from one foot to the other, clearly uncomfortable with the turn of events. "I guess I owe you an apology for doubting you and making those assumptions," she said quietly. "I was wrong to judge you based on the past. I can see now that I was mistaken." "It's all right, Mary," I replied, trying to ease the tension. "It's a common mistake to judge people based on their past, but we all grow and change. What's important is that we learn from our mistakes and move forward." Mary nodded, still looking somewhat dazed. "I suppose I have a lot to learn. I didn't expect this at all." As we made our way out of the building, Mary seemed reflective, her earlier bravado replaced by humility. I could sense that the experience had been a wake-up call for her, challenging her long-held beliefs and assumptions. Before we parted ways, Mary extended her hand. "Thank you for showing me this. I hope we can put the past behind us and move forward with a better understanding." I shook her hand firmly. "Thank you, Mary. I hope this can be a learning experience for both of us." With that, we went our separate ways. The encounter had been a confrontation of past grievances, but it had also been a chance to demonstrate growth and resilience. As I drove home, I felt a renewed sense of clarity and purpose. The reunion had not only been a chance to reconnect with old friends, but also an opportunity to affirm my journey and the values I hold dear. The encounter with Mary had indeed been a dramatic turn of events, but it had also provided a powerful sense of closure. It was a reminder of how far I had come and how important it is to let go of past grievances. As I walked back to my office, I felt a weight lifted off my shoulders, knowing that I had handled the situation with dignity and integrity. Mary's apology, though overdue, was a step in the right direction for her growth. It was clear she had some reflection to do, and I hoped it would lead her to a better understanding of herself and others. For me, it was a moment to reaffirm my values and the importance of staying true to oneself despite the challenges and judgments faced along the way. Returning to my office, I focused on my work with renewed energy and perspective. The day at the reunion reinforced the importance of resilience and self-belief, qualities that had guided me throughout my career and personal life. It was a reminder that our past doesn't define our present or future, and that each of us can grow and change. With a lighter heart and a clear mind, I continued my work, ready to embrace the opportunities and challenges that lay ahead. What a journey we've taken today. From reflecting on past challenges to finding closure and moving forward, we've explored some powerful lessons. It's a testament to the strength of sticking to your principles, confronting the past with grace, and focusing on personal growth. So, what have you learned from this story? Is there a particular lesson that resonates with you, or a practice you plan to incorporate into your own life? Share your thoughts and reflections in the comments below. If you found this video inspiring, please leave your comment, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content like this. Your support means the world to us.